Okay, gonna go live in a bit. Gonna talk about the weekend's fights. Looking forward to discussing these bouts. Got some good ones, and we still got one to go for the weekend, essentially. We got someone watching, so we're gonna go ahead and go live. All right, welcome back to WMMA Sing Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to the weekend recap for March 20th, 2022. Going to go over this weekend's fights, and also because there were so few fights from this weekend, and because I really wanted to talk about last weekend's bouts, we're going to go over those two as well. We had big UFC event in London, very exciting event. One of the best women's knockouts in recent memory went down, so we're going to discuss that. Got a title fight going on in a few hours time over in Japan. It's going to go down, and we had a title fight down in Mexico with Lux Fight League. So we're going to talk about all of those. Plus, we're going to discuss last weekend's Invicta event, Paris and France. Last weekend had Deep Jewels. So we're going to be talking about all of those, and we're going to even talk about a little bit about this upcoming week's fights, because this weekend, the upcoming weekend, is going to be absolutely huge. We've got a big UFC event with 3 ladies bouts. All of them, I think all 3 of them have ranking implications. At least 2 of them, 2 of the 3 do. And then we've got the big 1X card on Saturday that is just going to be absolutely phenomenal. And that's it for, not a whole lot going on this upcoming weekend, but still going to be absolutely huge just between those 2 events alone. So let's get down into this weekend's events, and then we'll move on. Then we'll discuss last weekend's, because everyone that's going to be coming in is going to want to talk about this weekend's fights. So first up, on Friday, we had Luke's Fight League 21 down there in Monterrey, Mexico. And the main event had a flyweight championship, inaugural flyweight championship for Luke's Fight League. Let me enlarge this here for you. Victoria Alba on the left there defeated Daniela Villasmil via TKO to the punches at 46 seconds of the 4th round. Now, I have not watched this fight. I was trying to watch it Friday night, and then because it started in Mexico and I'm on the East Coast of the U.S., it was late by the time this fight started, and I had fallen asleep. But it sounds like it was a very fun fight. Alba climbed to 2-0. Villasmil fell to 3-2. Now, this was supposed to be the the final of their flyweight Grand Prix, if I remember correctly. I hadn't been keeping up with it like I should have, but don't know how this ended up being the final for the championship. Probably, I'm guessing other fighters dropped out. Fortunately, I just was not following it as much. There is a clip of the finish over on the WMMA subreddit. So it's like reddit.com/r/WMMA. If you want to go check that out, you can. But Victoria Alba, only 2-0 and a promotional champion down there in Mexico. So then on Saturday, these pictures are not coming up properly. All right, so that's not going to. Apologies. Seems like my pictures don't want to come up right properly. So I have a solution. All right, so UFC Fight Night, Aspinall versus Volkov, or UFC London. We had a few ladies bouts. So at Strawweight, Elise Reed defeated Cory Mckenna via split decision. This was a good fight. Elise Reed looked absolutely great in this fight, in my opinion. One judge, and the only reason it was a split was because one judge had it 30-27 Mckenna. I don't know what fight that judge was watching. And I wanted to assume that he must have been an English judge, given a hometown decision. But no, he's like from the U.S. And he still gave it 3 rounds to none for Mckenna. Now, Mckenna did get takedowns in each round, but I don't know what's going on. But I think it just goes to show you don't actually have to be a hometown judge to award a hometown decision, because in my eyes, Mckenna did not win this fight at all. I know most of the media scored it for Reed. Elise Reed, she could just I don't want to say she could not miss in this bout, but man, she was being very accurate, and she was also doing an excellent job of getting out of the way of Mckenna's strikes. Now, she did get taken down, and she did get Mckenna did get some control time there and land some ground and pound, but for the most part, it's other than the 3rd round, which every judge gave to Mckenna, and I can agree on that one. But for the most part, the 1st and 2nd rounds, they were all Elise Reed due to her striking, and her head work and her head movement and footwork were just absolutely on point for this bout. So the best Elise Reed has looked in the UFC, and honestly, the best she has looked probably ever. Cory Mckenna just could not really land on Reed. Amazing. So then we move up to on the main card at Flyweight, where Molly McCann defeated Luana Carolina via TKO or KO. Excuse me. This is a knockout. Minute and 52 seconds of the round 3. I had called for. I made a community post. I was picking both of the UK lasses to win, and I said I expected both fights to be sloppy. Well, this bout was definitely sloppy. McCann fought like a fighter. If you've ever played video games, if you've ever played a combat video game like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, Tekken, Soul Calibur, whatever, you always end up coming up against opponents who basically spam the same move. And by spam, I mean they're literally hitting the same button combination over and over and over again. That's basically how Molly McCann fights. And that's definitely how she fought in this fight. So McCann looked good, but I'll add the caveat that she looked good for Molly McCann, because I just don't think she's a particularly good fighter. I mean, I think she fought a smart fight for her against Luana Carolina. And that Carolina is slow. She is a very slow fighter. Whereas McCann is the type to come forward and just unleash a million punches all at once. And that perfect stylistic matchup for Molly McCann. And I think as usual, when the UFC goes outside the US, they're going to give the home country fighters favorable matchups, because that's what people like to see. I mean, when the fights come to your town, you want to see, your hometown fighters win or at least do well in a loss. This was definitely a favorable matchup for Molly McCann. Carolina started doing better as the fight progressed, but just not enough. And then 3rd round, McCann lands the spinning back elbow from hell. No setup or anything needed for it. It just boom, landed, and Carolina just dropped forward dead. Apparently she's going to be okay. She went to hospital and got her CT scans and whatnot, and it's going to be all right. But just absolutely brutal finish. One of the worst knockouts for the ladies in recent memory. Some people are calling it one of the greatest women's knockout ever. I absolutely disagree with that, but it's up there. Like, it's definitely in the top 10, possibly top 5. But it was absolutely brutal. But before that, I'm not gonna mince words. This fight was sloppy. I mean, it was just sloppy from start up to the finish. It was sloppy. I mean, very little in the way of technique show going in this fight. What technique there was, I have to give it to Carolina. Carolina was definitely the more technical fighter, which is rare to describe her as such, but she was. Whereas Mckenna was just pressure, 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 volume, volume, volume. Carolina was actually trying to land strikes in a certain way and actually trying to implement like a game plan. But Molly McCann wins in front of her home country, so good for her. So that was it for the UFC. Now there is one more fight for this weekend is actually coming up in a few hours' time. Pancrase 326. You've got a strawweight championship. Emi Fujino, the champion, taking on the challenger, Karen. This is the co-main event. There's 3 title bouts on this card, too. I'm not sure how to watch it, but I'm almost sure it's pay-per-view. And you might not even be able to purchase it the day of, which it already is, unfortunately. Because I tried to the last time Karen fought. I tried to order Pancrase, and it wouldn't let you purchase the day of, which to me is just beyond ridiculous. But let me go into the stats on this one. So this is huge differentials in this fight. Okay, Fujino is 25-12, whereas the challenger Karen is only 4-0. Fujino is coming off a loss last year to Ayaka Hamsahi. That was 5 months ago. And Fujino is literally old enough to be Karen's mom. Fujino is 41 years old, whereas Karen is only 18 and a half. And she just graduated high school this weekend, or like this past week. So she literally is going the last week of her fight camp, going to high school graduation, and then going straight into a fight. And then Tapology still lists Karen as 4'11". She's not that short anymore. Like those are old stats. Hopefully they get updated at some point. Fujino is listed at 5'3", 160 centimeters. I think Karen's around like 5'2", roughly, having seen the weigh-in picks. This to me is a 50-50 toss-up. Fujino, obviously the much more experienced fighter, way more experienced. But along with that experience comes the age, comes the wear and tear. It's hard to say who's it. So yeah, it's kind of a toss-up to me. I mean, honestly, Karen is the kind of fighter, young and inexperienced, that Fujino has basically made her entire career off of, at least as far as the wins go. So this very easily could be an easy Fujino win, but it could also be a passing of the torch fight for Karen. I mean, Fujino, she's had one fight in 2 years, and that was the loss to Hamsahi. And her win before that was a win over a fighter who was only 3-2 at the time. So could go either way. I mean, hopefully I'll be able to find a replay of this bout, but best of luck to each of these ladies. So that's basically it for this weekend. So I want to talk a bit about last weekend's bouts, because there was a lot of action going on, and I didn't end up doing a live stream this past week again, just because my sleep schedule was all out of whack, so couldn't really get it done. But last week we had 2 ladies bouts, where ladies all went ladies events in 4 days. So a lot of ladies bouts last weekend. So let's go to Invicta 46. Now, I did do a full event review on this one, if you want to go check that out. But later on, I go a little bit more in depth there. But I want to talk about it again. So first up, we had an atomweight bout with Monique Adriani on the right-hand side there, defeating Paulina Granados via unanimous decision. Tell you what, Adriani came into this bout having not fought in 2 years. Did not look like she had missed a beat at all. She just did not allow Granados to get going in this bout. So very nice effort there for Monique Adriani, and who immediately puts herself in title contention, in my opinion. Then we had a really good back and forth bout at Flyweight, where Christina Williams defeated Florahani via split decision. Williams doing a pretty good job of using her length and her reach to her advantage and try to stay on the outside. Florhani did get it on the inside at some points and just land some really good combinations. So when she was able to get inside, she did really well. But I think overall, it was the outside striking game of Williams that got the job done. Then down at strawweight, we had a nice workman-like victory for Liz Tracy over Danielle Taylor. Sort of like the atomweight bout, where Tracy just didn't really allow Taylor to get going for the most part. A lot of it came down to Tracy being able to take down, Taylor and control her on the ground and just overall outwork her there. So nice effort there for Liz Tracy. Then in the co-main event at flyweight, we had a bit of an upset. Denise Gomez on the right there defeated Milana Dudieva via TKO due to knees and punches. 1 minute and 56 seconds of the third round. The first 2 rounds, they were all Dudieva. She basically was given a good judo clinic with her throws and was landing her overhand right really nicely. But then come the third round, the ring rust caught up to her. Dudieva came into the third round just absolutely dead tired, and Gomez was able to absolutely take over, land some punches on her that, the exhausted Dudieva wasn't able to recover from, and just poured it on for the win. So nice victory there for the late notice Denise Gomez, who took the bout on a week or less and defeated the longtime veteran as well. Then in the main event, we had the flyweight title bout. Karina almost did the Brazilian pronunciation. Karina Rodriguez defeated Diana Torquato via split decision in a 5-round bout. This wasn't the bout we were supposed to get. We were supposed to get Karina Rodriguez versus Katelyn Stoza, a fellow Brazilian of Torquato's, but Stoza had to withdraw. And Torquato moved up from the co-main event on a week's notice. And I'll tell you what, had I not known that Torquato was a late notice replacement, you'd have had a hard time convincing me. Torquato, even in a losing effort, showed so much improvement over the first bout against Rodriguez because this was a rematch. Torquato showed so much overall improvement over the first bout, and it seemed like she had just absolutely prepared to fight Rodriguez. Not only that, she fought her butt off for all 5 rounds. If she was only preparing for a 3-round bout, could have fooled me again. A lot of fighters always say, oh, well, we prepare for 5-round bouts all the time, and then they gas anyway. And that's when they come up on short notice to take, title bouts or non-title bout main events. And fighters love to say, yeah, we train for 5-round bouts all the time, and then they gas out anyway. Whereas Torquato seems like she literally did train for a 5-round fight. Rodriguez, though, just a little bit better than Torquato. A little bit better. And came out with the victory. So while it seems like I'm all praise for Torquato, don't get wrong, Rodriguez fought very, very well in this bout. But Torquato I feel like even in a losing effort, she is very deserving of praise. Rodriguez, big fan of hers, and she just showed that why she's the champion in this bout by defeating a much improved Torquato, because Rodriguez wasn't training for Torquato, but she still showed that she's just that much better than her. So Rodriguez, still the champion, and we'll see what's next for her. She wants to go to the UFC, and I just have a hard time believing that the UFC is going to pick her up because she's 36 years old, and the UFC doesn't usually sign fighters that late in the game. Every once in a while it happens, but I doubt it. But where I would really like to see Rodriguez go is, if she goes anywhere, would be one championship. Because one championship, I think, would still pay her well. She'd be a bit of like a bit of an outsider, because they don't really have too many Mexican fighters, if any. And one championship needs 125 pounders. And they could immediately slot her in against the current champ, Seong Jin-nan. And that would be a phenomenal fight. That fight, to me, would just be absolute fireworks. Seong versus Rodriguez, both boxing styles. That fight would just, that'd be an awesome bout. So anyway, that's Invicta 46. On Saturday, we had Deep Jewels 36, the second of 2 all-ladies events last weekend. Before I get into this, just a friendly reminder, the chat is open, so if you want to leave a comment or have anything to say, feel free to say something in the chat. But Deep Jewels 36 put on a pretty good card. Mostly heavily skewed between the Flyweight Grand Prix bouts and the Super Atomweight division, which isn't even an official division for Deep Jewels, but it's 49 kilograms, 108 pounds. But overall, a very good event. In the first MMA bout at microweight, 97 pounds, Mizuki Furuse stopped a losing streak, defeating Reina Kobayashi due to rear naked choke, 2 minutes and 11 seconds of the first round. So Furuse picking up the first win in a while. Kobayashi, a lot less experience than Furuse. This is basically a tune-up fight for Mizuki Furuse. So quick and easy win for her. Excuse me. Then in the first of the four different 49 kilogram bouts, Yuko Suzuki on the left defeated Manhu Sadeh via split decision. I actually slept through this one because I was going in and out of sleep during event yet. So I can't really comment too much on this one. Judy V in the chat. Welcome, Judy. Just tuned in. Don't know if you covered UFC this weekend yet. Elise Reed, the underdog, win by split decision, while Mckenna win by KO round 3. Luana looked philosopher. So I did cover the UFC. They were not up first. They were the second fights I covered. So you can go back later, Judy, and check out my thoughts on those. Then also at 49 kilograms, Moeri Suda on the right defeated Hikaru Ano via submission armbar, 3 minutes, 36 seconds of the first round. I'll tell you what, Moeri Suda came in there, stormed out of the corner like a bat out of hell, took Ano down. Ano is a very strong wrestler, and Suda, got her down, worked for the submission and got it. Suda, after going 0-2 to start her career, is now on a 5-fight win streak. So if she doesn't get the challenge for the Deep Jewels atomweight bout next, I would not be surprised to see her in a future Rising event. The brother man in the chat. So keep an eye on this young lady, and she's young too. I think she's still 17. She's still 17 years old, turns 18 in July. So keep an eye on her, defeating a veteran in Hikaru Ano. Also at 49 kilograms, the former Deep Jewels Strawweight champ, Miki Matono, defeated Mizuki Nisei Oshiro via submission due to armbar, 4 minutes, 18 seconds of the first round. Not really a big surprise that Matono defeated Oshiro or Nisei. Nisei goes back and forth between atom weight and microweight and super atom weight now, whereas Matono is coming down from strawweight, and it's just an overall better fighter. So this one really didn't surprise me too much. Then we had a bit of an upset here in the final 49 kilogram bout, because Namiko Hime Kawabata on the right-hand side there defeated Saori Oshima via unanimous decision. So Kawabata climbed to 3-1. Oshima fell to 7-3. Oshima was coming off a big Ryzen debut, big upset win over Kana Asakura last year. Came into this bout. And let's be honest here, Oshima's always smaller in these fights, whereas Hime was coming down from strawweight for this bout and just absolutely towered over Oshima and did really well in staying on the outside. Fought very smart, stayed on the outside, used her jab very effectively to stop Oshima, who resorted to just kind of like plotting, like charging forward to try to get in close to get the takedowns. Now, when Oshima was able to get inside, she had no trouble getting Hime down, particularly in the first round. But in the second round, Hime just used her jab as like a stopping measure. Like some fighters, they use the jab like offensively because they're just like pow, 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 like you know, putting it out there, driving their opponent's head back and using it offensively. Whereas Hime used the jab defensively. She stayed on the back foot, circled around, and just put her jab out there and basically let Oshima's momentum drive it into her fist and stop Oshima. So a little bit of an upset, not a huge upset for me because I'm like, man, that size difference is going to be huge. But nice win there for Hime, biggest win of her career, certainly. So we were supposed to have 4 flyweight bouts on this card for the Deep Jewels Flyweight Grand Prix. 2 fighters in 2 of the bouts ended up having to drop out due to illness. So we only got 2 fights on this one. In the first one, Shizuka Sugiyama ended up defeating Mikiko Nirvana Shimizu via split decision. Sugiyama controlled the fight for most of it and then barely survived an armbar in the second round to end the fight, which probably is how Shimizu ended up getting a split, or probably why Shimizu almost ended up winning, I should say. Sugiyama took the fight by split, but Sugiyama obviously was a vastly more experienced fighter going into this one of the 2 tournament favorites, getting the win there, but barely survived. Almost got armbarred and, or I should say almost got submitted. She got armbarred, almost got submitted, and then almost lost the decision. So ring rust might have been a factor, or maybe she just underestimated Miko Nirvana. I don't know. But hopefully Deep Jewels will have those fights up soon because it's already been a week. Then in the main event, the return of Rin Nakai, who defeated Shoko Fujita via TKO due to ground and pound, 4 minutes, 38 seconds of the second round. Rin Nakai, the first round was fought pretty much entirely on the feet. Rin Nakai coming forward and outworking Fujita. And then in the second round, took her a while to get Fujita down, but Rin Nakai did eventually get Fujita down. And then once the fight got to the ground, it was over from there. It was obvious that Rin Nakai was going to win if the fight got to the ground. But I thought Fujita did well. I mean, she was only 2-1 coming into this bout, whereas Nakai, this is like her this is her 25th professional bout. So I mean, this is kind of like an already written ahead of time, like who was going to win. Not really, but if Fujita would have won, this would have been like one of the biggest upsets ever. But Nakai did come in off of a very long layoff, like 2 years, I think, since her last bout. So what have you. So Nakai and Sugiyama move on to the semifinals along with Aoi Kuriyama and Te Murayama. So the bouts will be drawn somewhat at random again, much like the quarterfinals were. So the semifinals will be coming up. And then going back a few days to Thursday, we had Eris 4 over in France. We had 3 ladies bouts over in France for Eris 4 on Thursday. That was on UFC Fight Pass. Why they were on Thursday, I don't know. But some good bouts here. So first up on the prelims, and why this was on the prelims, I don't know, but because she's a big name in French MMA. But Rizlan Zoak at bantamweight, by the way. Rizlan Zoak defeated Denise Muniz via unanimous decision. After 3 rounds, Zoak climbed to 6-4. Muniz fell to 3-1. This was just an absolute judo clinic by Rizlan Zoak. I don't know what was going on in Muniz's head, but she just did not do anything to avoid the clinch of Rizlan Zoak. And every time Zoak got to clinch, bloop, there went Muniz flying through the air. So Zoak just absolutely schooled Denise Muniz with her judo en route to a unanimous decision. I'll tell you what, Zoak, she's a big name in France. I mean, she's a former Olympian in judo, and the cheers for her from the crowd were pretty enormous. Then up at strawweight, Elizabeth Rodriguez defeated Mikkel Destiny via split decision. This was a pretty good back and forth bout. Not the cleanest bout, not the prettiest bout. You know, it was fairly sloppy, but it was certainly a fun back and forth bout. So definitely one to watch if you have UFC Fight Pass. You definitely want to go in and watch this one. Then up on the main card as well at strawweight, Maria Silva defeated Evelina Bosniak, the previously undefeated Evelina Bosniak, via submission due to rear naked choke, minute 4 seconds of the 3rd round. Man, never seen Bosniak handled like that. Maria Silva came into this bout with a fire under her butt, and she just did not allow Bosniak to get going in this bout at all. I mean, she just controlled where the bout went from start to finish. Silva just was beating Bosniak up. Bosniak stood no chance, and Bosniak was undefeated coming into this bout. And I mean, she had some wins over some good opponents too. Like she had beaten in only her 4th fight, she had defeated Magdalena Sormova, who was 10-2 at the time. She defeated Karolina Wojcik, who I'm pretty high on, who was 5-1 at the time in only her 3rd fight. I mean, Bosniak had never fought any actual cans before. So it's not. So her record was pretty good, and she had a pretty strong record. And then Silva, who also came into this bout undefeated at 7-0, just steamrolled her basically for 2 rounds, and then got the submission in the 3rd round. So yeah, if you have Fight Pass, Eris 4. It was last week, Thursday in France. Go check it out. There's some good bouts overall on this card, all up and down it. So I got to give the French MMA scene credit. You know, I think it only got legalized in France in either last year or the year before was MMA finally legalized in France. But man, they are doing everything they can to catch up. We got a comment from Judy V. Says, okay, Chuck, decision time. Your pick, Stamp or Lee. Brother man, your pick. Anyone else? Tentative, Stamp, my pick. Judy V is picking Stamp tentatively. I don't have a pick. You know, I already released my my preview on that one, and for me, it is a 50-50 toss-up. Personally, I'm cheering for Stamp. I'm tired of Lee. I'm tired of Lee being this specter over this division, and you know, even after two and a half years of inactivity, I'm cheering for Stamp to win and let the division move on. Let the division needs to move on from Angela Lee at this point. I mean, if Angela wins and beats Stamp, then hey, fair game, fair enough. But it's like, man, do we really have to keep putting up with a girl who isn't active and doesn't fight, gets injured and doesn't fight, and so on and so forth? The brother man says Stamp Fairtex easily. Also says 1X is going to be amazing. I agree, and we are going to talk about it in a couple minutes. And Judy, okay, so Judy B did see the video. Yeah, not going to pressure me into making a pick. So final fight we'll talk about from last weekend. 329. Judy V says 329. No, it's Saturday, 326. It's 329. I don't think there are any fights on 3. No, 329 is a Tuesday. You're thinking of 326. The final fight for last weekend. Bellator 276 was in St. Louis. And we had a flyweight bout. Diana Avsaragova defeated Kira Batara via unanimous decision. Avsaragova climbed to 5-0. Batara fell to 8-5. Batara, who's like 4'11", took this fight on very short notice. Very short notice, and hadn't fought in, I think, 2 years at this point. Ooh, she hadn't fought since 2019, April of 2019. So it's been almost 3 years. I thought she gave a good account of herself for having not fought in so long and taking the fight on short notice and being undersized. But Avsaragova fought a smart fight to me. Was it a very cautious way of fighting? Yes, but I think it was smart. Oh, we got a super chat. The brother man says it's winner stays or loser gets booted out of the company. Stamp and Angela both knows this. I can't agree to brother man. I have to disagree. No one's going to get booted out of the company for losing that bout. No way. Because they're both high up in the company as far as the company's good graces go. Angela's not going anywhere, and neither is Stamp, win or lose. But I think that the loser is going to have a hard time getting back up there in title contention right away. But thank you for the super chat. Anyway, back to Avsaragova versus Batara. Yeah, Avsaragova fought a very cautious fight. Basically stayed on the outside the whole time, let Batara rush forward and, basically drive herself into Avsaragova's punches. And I did have someone in the comments disagree with me that it was a smart fight. But it was a smart way of fighting. Yes, was it a safe way of fighting? Yes, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't smart. Okay, why? How do I want to say this? Because I've accused fighters of fighting boring too. But you're fighting someone who you weren't prepared to fight. So if you can win by playing it safe, then I can agree with that. Because why risk it against someone you don't know their style? It's different when you're taking a fight on short notice. Because you don't know that opponent. You weren't preparing for that opponent. So in some ways, it probably is better to fight a little more cautiously, and that is the smarter way to take the ball. So So Hamsahi wins the bout via unanimous decision. Yes, she fought safe, but she also fought smart. Fiora asking for Bellator to start a strawweight division. I don't see that happening. Unless she wants to go over to Europe and fight, the few on the Europe cards where they'll occasionally have strawweight fights. Maybe she can get that, but Bellator's not going to be starting a strawweight division anytime soon. So that was it for last weekend's fights. Or no, I'm sorry. We have one more. Because we have one more event. We have UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Ankalaev. We had 2 ladies bouts. First up at Flyweight, Miranda Maverick defeated Sabina Mazzo via submission due to rear naked choke, 2 minutes, 15 seconds of the second round. I finally watched this fight tonight. I hadn't gotten around to watching it because I slept through it. And Maverick just absolutely controlled Mazzo, controlled where the fight went. Mazzo is a notoriously slow starter, and that played off in Maverick's favor. So Maverick halting a 2-fight skid. Mazzo, I believe this makes a 3-fight losing streak for her. Let me check. Yeah, that's 3 in a row for Mazzo. And it seems like there was some confusion due to a certain Twitter account that keeps track of the UFC roster via the website. And like they said, she was cut, and then like 6 or 7 hours later, it said she's back on the roster. I don't trust bot accounts. I don't think Mazzo was actually ever cut, but Maverick getting it done, halting her losing skid. And then I believe this is also a prelim fight at Flyweight. JJ Aldrich defeated Jillian Robertson via unanimous decision. Not surprised by this outcome. I'm really not. Aldrich isn't the most athletic fighter, but she is a very good technical striker. Very underrated. And hard to take down. Like, she's not easy to take down. So, really not surprised that she was able to outpoint Robertson. Robertson, I got to be honest. Judy V, this was last weekend UFC card. So, here's who Jillian Robertson reminds me of. She reminds me of a younger Roxanne Modafferi, who was not improving her striking at all and was relying on her submission grappling and on her jiu-jitsu. If Robertson does not round out her game better, she's going to end up having a relatively short career. She's going to be out of the UFC soon. I mean, as it is right now, after this bout, her record dropped to 10-7. And has lost 3 out of her last 4 bouts. And for most part, has been like every other fight, win-loss, win-loss. Robertson just has not improved on her game overall. She's not improved her striking. She's not improved her takedown ability. She's not improved her wrestling. For the most part, she's still relying on her grappling and her jiu-jitsu. And that is not going to help you in this division right now. This division is growing rapidly. It is improving rapidly. Now, it took some time to get going. And Robertson was part of the first class. He was on that Ultimate Fighter season that introduced the flyweights. But she just has not really improved her game since then. And she does not have the natural athletic ability and strength to make up for those technical deficiencies. So she has got to tighten up her game, clean up her game, improve her game, just everything. Or you're going to run into someone who's also not the most athletic fighter in Aldrich, but is definitely a better technical fighter than you, especially on the feet. In every fight, every round of every fight starts on the feet. If you can't get your opponent down, then you're playing in their game. And Aldrich just very underappreciated fighter is JJ Aldrich. Like, let me see how many. What's her record look like right now? Aldrich, 1, 2, 3. Aldrich is on a 3-fight winning streak right now. If they don't give her a ranked opponent next, then they should definitely give her someone who beating will put her into the rankings, or will give her another chance against a ranked opponent, because Aldrich deserves it at this point. Yeah. Brother Man and Judy V. So Aldrich getting it done against Jillian Robertson. So that is it for last weekend. So let's talk. So we covered this weekend. We covered last weekend. We're caught up. But man, we got some good fights to look forward to this weekend. Oh, man, is this weekend exciting. Saturday, we have one championship, 1X. We've got 1, 2, 4 ladies MMA bouts plus a grappling bout. So first up, let me enlarge this just a little bit more. There we go. You've got atomweight Asha Roka versus Elise Anderson. Now, I did see an Instagram post that this bout was canceled. However, I have not seen anything to officially confirm this. Nothing has come out from one. Anderson hasn't posted on social media in a while. I don't think Asha Roka is active at all, at least on Instagram. So as far as I know, this bout is still on. This should be a good one. Ladies, towards the bottom of the division, Asha Roka hasn't fought in a while. Anderson hasn't fought since won Empower in September. So it should be a good one. Then we got the ladies grappling bout, submission grappling. May Yamaguchi taking on Danielle Kelly. Should be an easy win for Danielle Kelly. I don't think she's ever lost to an MMA fighter in a submission grappling bout. And Yamaguchi, she brought in some good training partners. Kazushi Sakuraba, who's an absolute legend, and brought in some other very good grapplers. I'm just not sure it'll be enough to get by Danielle Kelly. And that is on like the first card. It starts at like 1 a.m. Eastern time in the U.S. Then on the second card, which starts at 5 a.m. Eastern time U.S., we've got 2 more atomweight bouts. We've got Itsuki Arata versus Jean Rodswan. This should be a good one. It should be a very good test for both ladies. Rodswan coming off of a contentious decision win over May Yamaguchi. Arata hasn't fought since One Empower, where she defeated Elise Anderson. This should be a good one. Got the judoka versus the more all-rounder fighter. And that should be a good action-packed bout. Then we got the rematch. Hamsahi taking on Denise Nabalanga. I'm taking Ham to win this one. I did do a full preview on this one, if you want to go check that out later. But I think Ham is going to have the edge here, because Zamboanga had a hard time against Ham in the first bout, and that was a Ham that hadn't fought in almost 2 years. So Ham was coming in off of 2 years of inactivity, and so I'm going with Ham. And Ham doesn't have as much to improve on compared to Zamboanga. So I'm going with Ham. Then in the main event on the third card, which is going to be, it's going to be pay-per-view, unfortunately, but I think it's worth the $40. We've got the main event, Atomweight World Championship, the division champion, Angela Lee, taking on the Grand Prix champion, Stamp Fairtex. This is a 50-50 fight to me, because Angela's been so inactive, where Stamp is on a roll. But is Stamp as good all around as Angela? Is she going to be able to last on the ground with Angela? That's a big question. And how will Angela's stand-up look compared to Stamp's? It's going to be a great bout. overall. But I honestly don't have a pick for this one. To me, it's a true 50-50 fight, which I don't think Angela's. The last. When was the last time Angela Lee was in a 50-50 bout? That's a good question. Good question. Got some comments. Raw Hobbies and Lifestyle says, I think Angela will win by oversized stamp. I think she'll definitely have a size advantage. I think she's got a 2-inch height advantage. Let me check that real quick. Come on. So Lee is 2 inches taller than Stamp. But Lee's also very broad shouldered. She's built really well for the weight class. So I would not be surprised if there is a big size advantage for Lee. Plus, she's got that big head, too, that just absorbs strikes like nothing. Raw Hobbies and Lifestyle says, Anderson gets easy win for this. Ashiroka never wins in one. Yeah, I think she's like 0-2 in one championship. I have to check. Topology doesn't even have the bout on the page. So Ashiroka, the knockout queen. Yeah, she's 0-2 in one championship. So yeah, it should be a win for Elise Anderson if the bout happens. If the bout happens. Judy V says, when are the one fights? So they're this coming Saturday, March 26th, which I think you're on the West Coast, Judy, or more out west. So it's actually going to be like late night Friday for you. If so. But it's yeah, Angela Lee has a big head. So the initial card starts at 1 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday. And then the main card will start 8 a.m. Eastern time Saturday morning. And I took the day off because I wanted to be able to see this card from start to finish. I'm going to take a long nap Friday night, stay up, get the energy drinks ready. So you're in Texas. So let me pull up my world clock. So you're an hour behind where I am. So if the event starts at 1 a.m. my time, so it should be starting at like 12 a.m. your time. So midnight Saturday morning, late Friday night, I guess, basically. But yeah, this event should be just phenomenal. I'm so excited for it. Looking forward to it. And I'm going to do a full preview for featuring all of the ladies' bouts. I'm going to try to do that tomorrow. I've got to watch some footage of Ashiroka and Anderson, and then probably some footage for Hirata and what's her name? Radzuan. And then Saturday night in the U.S., we have UFC Fight Night Columbus. Pull that up here. First bout at bantamweight, we have Sarah Mcmahon taking on Carol Hosa. This should be a good one. Mcmahon, I believe, hasn't fought in a while, whereas Hosa has been a little bit more active recently. And Hosa's definitely the younger fighter because McMahon is up there in age. She's 41. Wow. McMahon is 41, coming into this bout at 41 years of age, whereas Hosa, is only 27. So Hosa is one of the younger contenders in the bantamweight division. And getting a step up and a chance to move up in the rankings against Sarah McMahon. I think this should be a good one. Looking forward to it. Then we've got a flyweight bout. Jennifer Maia coming in on fairly short notice. I think like a month or less to take on Manon Fiora, who was supposed to be fighting, what's her name? Jessica I on, I think last weekend it was supposed to be. Either last weekend or, yeah, no, on the 5th. She's supposed to fight Jessica I on the 5th. And Jessica I bowed out due to, I believe, injury. Some people are saying it was calling it a duck. That's up to you. But Jennifer Maia stepped up, taking this fight on short notice. This is a big, risky fight for Jennifer Maia. Because she's coming off a loss to Katelyn Chookagian. She's currently ranked number 4, and she's taking off on a fighter who isn't even in the top 10. So Jennifer Maia, big risk fight for this one. So I got to applaud Jennifer Maia for being a risk taker here. Manon Fiora, big chance to step up into the top 10. Because we all know how the UFC does the rankings. It's stupid. You beat a fighter who's ranked above you, will automatically take the rankings. Now, I personally do not agree with that, but that seems to be how the UFC does it. So if Manon Fiora gets a win over Jessica I, look to see her within the top 5. I don't agree with it. I don't think that you automatically take the place of the fighter you beat while leapfrogging over everyone else. I don't agree with the way they do the rankings. But I don't do the rankings, so should be a good one. Obviously, Fiora's biggest test to date against the former Invicta champ, and the only fighter at flyweight to take a round over the current champ, Valentina Shevchenko. So, Maia, she's been kind of stagnant as far as improvements go for a while now, but it's still a step above the opponents that Fiora is beating. Because let's be honest here. Fiora's last win against Maia Buenos Silva, a lot of people want to give her a lot of credit for it, and I might get some hate for this. I don't see that as being that good of a win. Buenos Silva offered absolutely nothing in that fight. All she did was walk forward, block punches with her forearms, and shake her head. Offered basically no offense even when she could have. And Fiora just cruised her way to a decision for the most part by spamming the same 3-strike combination, 1-2 kick. I don't think that was that good of a win. I mean, it was a win, sure, and it was one-sided, but it wasn't one-sided because you just absolutely controlled and dominated your opponent. It was a one-sided win because your opponent didn't go in there and fight. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I can't prove this, but it's almost like Buenos Silva threw that fight. Or maybe she was injured and just went in there and, did that fought that way because she couldn't offer anything physically. I don't know. But, so in essence, huge step up for Manon Fiora against Jennifer Maia here. So we got 11 people watching. Hey, the chat is open. Don't be shy, Everyone's entitled to an opinion here. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. The brother man says he believes Maia will beat Fiora. Yeah, I think I'd have to see the odds on the bout, but I think that wow. Okay, so according to Tapology, Jennifer Maia is a plus 300 moderate underdog, whereas Fiora is a minus 400 heavy favorite. Let me see what the odds are looking like on best fight odds. So hold on. Coming up. Why do they have that twice? So Jennifer Maia is hovering around the plus 300 range. The lowest is plus 240. That's at Betway, whereas Manon Fiora is hovering around the minus 400 range. Best is plus minus 410, but they also have her as low as minus 357. If you're familiar with the way bets work, so I think it is going to be a little bit harder for Jennifer Maia because she is coming in short notice, and that tends to favor the fighter that is fully prepared heavily. So I kind of understand those odds. And if I were a betting man, I probably would put money on Fiora. Not much, but a little bit. A great benefactor says, keep up the good work. Well, hey, thank you, great benefactor. So that's the flyweight bout. Then we have another flyweight bout on the card. This one's up on, I believe, on the main card here. You've got Joanne Wood taking on Alexa Grasso. Nope, this is on the prelims. No, I'm sorry. This is on the main card. My apologies. So on the main card, we have Joanne Wood taking on Alexa Grasso. Whew. You could not pay me to miss an Alexa Grasso fight. Big Grasso fan. I don't even hide it. Been a Grasso fan since her first fight in Invicta. Have not missed one of her fights live since then. I'm taking Grasso to win this one. Because to me, Joanne has looked like absolute dog crap her last few fights. And I think she already has one foot out the door. You know, got married last year. And has already talked about retirement being soon. She's on a 2-fight skid coming into this one. Lost the split to Lauren Murphy and then got submitted by Tyler Santos. Whereas Grasso, coming in off of 2 good wins, granted lower ranked wins over Jiyeon Kim and then Macy Barber. And then she's supposed to fight Viviane Araujo, and then that fight didn't pan out. So now she's fighting Joanne Wood. This is a chance for Grasso to break into the top 10 here. And I think Grasso will do it. Because Grasso can get into the pocket and unload on Joanne Calderwood. Now, Grasso needs to keep the pressure on Joanne Wood. She needs to keep the pressure on Joanne. Joanne hates pressure, and she hates it when fighters are able to really unload on her. When fighters can keep the pressure up and unload on her, she crumbles. Every time she crumbles to pressure fighters. Not typically how Grasso fights, but I think that's how Grasso should come into this bout. I think that's how she should look at this bout, is I've got to keep on the pressure. But Grasso normally stays on the outside. You know, she's a clean, pure boxer. Hasn't got a finish in a long, long time. But I think Grasso should look to keep the pressure up on this one. So that is the UFC. What else do we have? So that's it. That is the weekend recap, plus a look back at last weekend and then a look ahead to next weekend. So we got an hour, which is about 20 minutes, probably longer than I ever expected to go. But yeah, we've had some good fights the past 2 weeks, and we've got some good fights coming up. I'm really excited about that. Excited to talk about them some more coming up. Like I said, I released a preview for Stamp versus Angela Lee and a preview for Ham versus Zamboanga 2. Please go check those out. I'm going to work on a preview for all the ladies' bouts of one, just like all in one video. I'm going to try to release that tomorrow. Also going to try to do a preview for Joanne Wood versus Grasso. Might not get to that one. We'll see. Depends on how much time I have. And if I can get some good sleep this week. Haven't been able to. Yes, we do, the brother man says. We have another great weekend of fights coming up ahead. Oh, yeah. I mean, even if it's only what? It's only one in UFC, but still, between those two events. Got me thirsty. Judy B says, great chat. Till the next night, everyone, be safe. You too, Judy B. Stay safe. And the brother man says also Pancrase is later tonight. So yes, it is. I did mention that earlier. We've got Pancrase later tonight / early Monday morning in the U.S. You'll have to look and see if you can purchase it still. I know the last time I tried to purchase Pancrase event, it would not let you purchase it the day of the event, so, which was mystifying to me, but whatever. So Strawweight Championship, Emi Fujino taking on Karen. So I'm going to try to watch it, the brother man, but I'm not sure if it'll be available for purchase still. So that's it. So if you have anything you want to say in the chat, go ahead and leave it now. I'll give you a couple moments to do so. Don't forget to hit the like button. Helps draw people to the stream. Helps draw people to the replay. So go ahead and like it if you want. Share it. Subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed and you like the channel. Because, hey, could always use more subscribers, could always use more viewers and user interaction. Welcome. You know, trying to be the go-to channel for all of WMMA on YouTube. You know, I don't just focus on UFC, which some channels do. I don't just focus, I don't fanboy for any certain fighters either. So if you are looking for like a channel that fanboys for certain fighters, unfortunately, I'm not the place for you. But if you want like a good breadth of coverage, that's what I try do my best to try to provide. I just try to be the best overall WMA channel around. I do try to work hard at it. This is a hobby for me. Like I don't get paid for this. I will take super chats. Like the brother man was kind enough to give a $5 super chat earlier. If you really want to, look in the description. You can find ways to donate besides the super chat. You know, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, whatever. If you want to, I'm not going to ask you to. It is entirely up to you. Also, I am an affiliate of the One Championship shop. So if you want some sweet One Championship gear, I've got an affiliate link and a discount code in the description of the video. You can go and get 10% off. And then I get 10% off my next purchase when you do, which is nice because I like that gear. I'm not wearing it tonight, but I do wear it often. Go get some of that sweet 1X gear. It's pretty nice. Other than that, that's really all I have for you. Keep an eye out for any coverage for this next weekend coming from the channel. And until then, I will see you all next time. Have a good night, everyone.